Hi everyone, welcome to Himalaya IAS classes. Today we'll be discussing editorial articles on 27th June, Hindu paper. It has 4 articles on page 6, getting out of the guns, germs and steel crisis. Guns meaning the India-China border dispute, germs the coronavirus situation, steel is the how badly the steel industry and sector has been affected, and also the migrant crisis. Next, the pandemic imposes a steep learning curve, the use of technology in education. It's talking about that. The next article, mischief managed, talking about the defection in Manipur. Finally, science versus nonsense regarding the new drugs discovery on COVID 19. Let's come to the first article. This article throws a lot of light on Indian economy concepts, and also it gives substantial amount of data. So let us do that in part by part. The first part talks about defense expenditure. Now, if we realize that during India Kargil war, India's defense expenditure shot up by 20%. And now, if we go for India China war, we simply cannot afford it because the coronavirus situation in India has decreased the amount of money in the economy, and simply India cannot afford to go for it. Whereas China can take it because China's budget of defense is 4 times larger than that of India. And we know that as of today, China is building helipad in the finger 4 of the Pongangso Lake. So please read on that. The next part is talking about the health expenditure. Now, India's health expenditure, combined center and state, is 1.5% of GDP. Compare this with China, it is 3%, America is 9%. So, which means that India is totally unprepared for the situation of coronavirus, and we need a lot of money for taking care of our health expenditure. Next, it talks about money circulation in the economy. Now we know the major sectors that has been affected in India is the construction and building, retail sector, aviation and tourism, logistics sector, automobile sector, and the MSME sector. Along with huge migrant crisis, we know that APMCs and the warehouses which need a lot of laborers are facing huge crisis, and we do not have enough money in the economy. So now we have to look at the solution. What is the solution? Solution can be discussed in two places. One is to understand what drives our Indian economy back. So we have found out that there are 4 ways that drive the Indian economy. First one is people spending on consumption. People should demand more, people should spend more, but we know that people don't have the money in their hand as of now because of the lockdown situation, and the business has been low in the economy. So let's go to the second one, government spending. This is what happened during the Great Depression. New Deal was announced by Franklin Roosevelt. They pumped the money into the economy, put the money in the hands of people, and now people have money, they want to buy, they increase the demand. This is also very difficult. So we'll see what are the ways government can do spending in a little while later. And the next solution is to bring in investment. And when people don't have a lot of money, we have to think how investment can be boosted up in the economy. Finally, external trade, talking about import and export, which is again tricky given the situation today. Now, so government has said there are 3 ways that it can increase the money in the economy. One is to increase the wealth tax and capital gains tax, but this is a medium term solution. Next, to borrow the money, but it will increase the public debt, and the investment rating agencies internationally will give a very junk rating to India. So when there is that junk rating, then investors from other places will not find India favorable to invest. And finally, printing the money. Just printing the money by RBI and releasing it to the economy, in theory, will introduce inflation, but practically, it has not introduced inflation when this was tried down in America. So, what it can happen in India is increase the public debt. Finally, the author says the best solution to follow as of now is to unabashedly borrow the money from other places and pump it into the economy. So, the Dasharatha's dilemma that India is facing today is how to balance this border dispute with the citizens and the health expenditure. The next article talks about the state of education in India during the COVID-19. We know that rapidly all the schools and universities started doing online classes, and this brings us into the concept called use of technology in education. Now, there is another debate known as education should be inclusive and there should be democratization of education. And how do we do that is to use the online portals and release a lot of online courses and enable others and a lot of people universally to take up the courses. Now this has already been done by Harvard University, and the Ministry of HRD has come out with Swayam portal, and recently they came out with Swayam Prabha, wherein 32 direct to home channels are there, free of cost. All the learners can make use of this. UGC is one of the national coordinators for conducting the post graduation online courses, NCRT NIOS for the school education, IGNU for dropouts. This has been done. So the idea here was India is starting something known as one nation, one ration card, one nation, one tax. So one class, one one education, or one digital program. That is what India is coming out with. But there are some banes with technology because India has not provided reliable connectivity, quality connectivity throughout India is not there. So what about the rural children? What about the young school children who are in government schools? What about them? So there's a lot of discrepancy in this, and this also makes us think about Mahatma Gandhi's Nali Thalim, Naya Thalim. This, it talks about how important education is to education and knowledge is along with work. So please refer to Mahatma Gandhi's Naye Talim. It's a very good concept, and one of the major followers of this concept was Vinoba Bhave, who started Bodhan movement in 1951 in Ponchampalli place in Telangana. Work is as important as knowledge is the main theme of this concept. That means you learn while you work. So that is the reason we have developed skill development courses as of today, and it's work and knowledge aren't separate. We are going for that concept. Now the next article talks about defection. Defection is introduced ground of defection is one of the disqualification for MLAs and MP. Article 103 and Article 192 talks about defection as a ground of disqualification for MLAs and MPs. MPs and MLAs respectively. Now we know in Manipur recently there was defection cases. So we have to know a little bit more on what is anti-defection. Anti-defection is there in 10th schedule of Indian Constitution. Anti-defection law was created by 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1985. Unanimously it was passed in the parliament, showing that everybody wanted to be honest and create stability of government in India. So what are the grounds of defection? There are three major grounds of defection. One is any member of political party, if he or she abstains from voting and votes in contrary to the direction issued by the political party or the whip, then it relates to defection. Then if independent members of a house immediately join any political party after election. Next, nominated member if they join any political party after expiry of 6 months. There are exceptions to these anti-defection law as well when there is a merger. Merger as in a party, if it merges into another party, and at least 2/3 of the members of the party have agreed to such a merger. Earlier there was exception regarding splitting of parties also, but today it has been totally taken away. Next one, if any person elected as a speaker or the chairman voluntarily gives up or resigns and then again rejoins the party, then that is an exception under anti-defection as well. And the famous Quixote Holland case in 1993, discussed that the presiding officer, that is speaker, is the final authority for deciding the person or disqualification on grounds of defection, but this can be challenged or this is subject to judicial review as well. And the committees that worked on this anti-defection law is Goswami Committee, Election Commission, and Venkatachalaya Commission. So in Manipur, we could see that the act of defection was based on ministerial births, lure of an office, and material benefit. So that is what it talks about. Finally, there is an article on the drugs of COVID-19. Now, Patanjali made a lot of news saying that they have come out with coronal drug and it has cured a lot of people, but this is a faulty study and it has been proved that the results were just claims and uh, not very foolproof. So this talks about the regulatory lapse in India because the drugs are already there in the market. So we know that there are other approved drugs by the Indian government, that is Fabiflu by Glenmark, and that has already been released in parts of Russia, Japan, and also Africa. Now recently they came up with dexamethasone, that is also an approved drug in India. It's an oral drug. Fabiflu is also oral drug. You have to take the tablet. The next one is AstraZeneca. Now, this is a vaccine which Oxford University has come out with, and the trial is like they're already in giving a booster dose to a large population and making sure that they're immune from such virus later. So this brings us to the concept of herd immunity. Please read more on herd immunity. May be asked in prelims question. Next drug that we know is released in Indian market is by the name Remdesivir. And there was another drug HCQ, but not a lot of valid proof as well for curing the patients from coronavirus. So that ends the editorial analysis for today. If you do have any questions or clarification, let us know. Please like and subscribe our channel for constant updates. Thank you.